Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul manager questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek George's wisdom about life events. In this week's episode, we have an exciting program for you as George talks about the signing of Angelo Songco by the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. He gives us his predictions about what he's expecting in the upcoming NFL playoffs. He discusses a little baseball, all that we can discuss at this particular time of the year, and what would George do if he won the Powerball. So let's get right to Strike Zone. We want to welcome back St. Paul Saints manager George Tsamis. George, let's first of all begin with team updates you have for us.
Yeah, it's a nice day for Angelo Songco, who's going to be signing back with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we sold his contract back to them today. So it's a great opportunity for him, and it's a player that really deserved it because he's the kind of guy you want on your team, and productive, a nice, big, powerful left-handed bat, and just another real good guy in the clubhouse. So we're excited for him, and I hope he gets a fair chance, to make a Double-A or Triple-A team.
Besides the fact of the big bat that he swung for you last year, he seemed to be kind of the energizer of the team. Is that maybe even a harder loss for you?
Absolutely. You love guys with his energy, and again, you don't see too often a guy hitting fourth or fifth in your order. You don't see it too often where he's gets six triples, and there's a reason for those triples. It's not like he's the fastest guy out there. He's not a leadoff hitter. He's a middle of the order guy. He got those six triples because he's hustling the second he hits that ball right out of the box. He's hustling, and some of those triples were from his hustle, and just it's something you don't see every day. You don't see guys right out of the box in the big leagues anywhere. They come flying out, right when they come out of the box. So it plays the game the right way, and it's a great kid.
Yeah, be a hard loss for sure. Before we get into this week's playoff predictions, I wanted to give you a chance to lament the Minnesota Vikings end from yesterday.
Yeah, that's a painful one. It's it's like you'd rather lose 30-0 than to lose like that, and it just it's too bad because they had a great season. They played great. Their defense was great, and it's just really it's a tough one. It hurts, and all the Viking fans out there, it's going to hurt for a long time, and you just hate to see it end like that. And again, their defense played great for a long time, and the whole game yesterday. And other than that one broken play that Russell Wilson made a great play, I don't even remember any big plays they made. And the Vikings were excellent, and it's a really tough way to go out.
And from what I saw, just the middle linebacker is the only one who's retiring, so they should still be really a quality team next year, I would think.
Yeah, and they get to go in the new stadium like the St. Paul Saints did last year, so the Vikings get to go into the new one, so that'll be a nice thing as well, too.
Absolutely. Be excited about that. We had lots of people ask about what you predicted for the playoffs this weekend, so we'll just kind of lump those together and start with Kansas City and New England.
Yeah, it's well, first of all, I was 1-3 this past week, correct? So it was not a good week. A couple of them, the way they ended, though, could have been different, but that's why I said pick the opposite. But this should be the most exciting weekend of the year. There's some tough games and exciting games, and I would say that New England, that's the team the Patriots is the team that I'm pulling for now, and I hope they can get back to the Super Bowl and win it. Kansas City's won 11 in a row now. It's going to be a tough game, and if the Chiefs pulled that off, you can't be surprised. But I would say the Patriots in that game.
Okay, Pittsburgh going to Denver.
I would love to see Pittsburgh pull it off. Again, they're an exciting team to watch. It's kind of weird though that last week all four road teams won, correct? So
yes, that was first time ever.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. So I don't know. I think in this round you got to go with the home team. So I'd like to see Pittsburgh win, but Denver and that defense at home, Peyton Manning back. I think we'll go with them.
Okay, Seattle heading to Carolina.
Yeah, this is it's a real good matchup as well. Uh, I'm definitely pulling for Carolina in this game. And they've been great all year long and almost went undefeated. So a great defense and MVP of the league, and so I think Carolina's going to win that one.
And a rematch of, I think, the Week 16 game between Green Bay and Arizona.
Yeah, I think you got to take Arizona in this game. There's something else. Great quarterback, just an excellent all-around team, and again, they played a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, and Arizona, beat them up pretty good. But I would have to say all 4 home teams in this round.
Okay. Heading into our fan questions this week, we first begin with Neil from Des Moines, who'd like to ask, there seem to be a lot of American Association players that are being signed by Major League affiliates this offseason. Does that surprise you?
No, not at all. There's a lot of quality guys playing in our league, and again, a lot of the guys playing in our league have come out of AA players, that have been there before, and so many guys had excellent seasons, and no, I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised there weren't more during the season. There were several quality guys that deserve another shot.
I've noticed there's been a lot of relievers that have seemed to be signed by clubs. Is that kind of an indication to you about what's going on in affiliate ball and bullpens?
Yeah, I honestly think they're just attracted to those 93-mile-per-hour fastballs. Those guys with the good arms, I think they'll get an extra chance. I think that's what they're looking for, and it's unfortunate because there are a lot of guys. A guy like Justin Crenshaw that's 87 to 90 miles per hour. That's been a great pitcher, and they seem to give the guys that have the better velocity more of a chance.
We have a question related to that in a moment here. Tim from St. Paul would like to ask, do you expect things to really pick up now in terms of getting your team ready?
Yeah, it's starting to, but again, there's still a lot of guys to go after, especially the AAA, AA guys that are still holding out hope for Major League organizations. So, especially next month when maybe guys realize they're not going to get signed by a Major League club, but we're always trying to get guys, and it's basically up to how long they want to wait.
Lou from St. Paul would like to know from you, he heard you talk about how the guys were playing in winter ball and how well they were doing. Is there a place where fans can look and see how somebody is doing in winter ball?
Yeah, I just look at Winter League Baseball or the Mexican Winter League or the Dominican Winter League. Just have to search around a little bit, and you can go to minorleaguebaseball.com and search around there a little bit. Just click on stats and type a player's name in, and you'll get it. So there are a few different ways to look them up.
Craig from Bloomington asks if Justin Verlander is really working more on weights this offseason. He's curious, as a former Major League pitcher, do you think that really spending time, significantly more time in the weight room is really beneficial, and how much weightlifting is actually beneficial?
It's, especially in the off season, I think it's great to, especially the pitchers, especially when their legs too. I think you need to work on that. And again, in the off season, you can do a lot, especially for your legs. You just got to be smart about the upper body too. You don't want to get too big. You want to be flexible, and but again, the off season's the time to do it, and just got to be smart about it.
I gather that sometimes young people learning as they're coming up in baseball forget the idea that it really is, if you're going to be a pitcher, a lot of your strength comes from the good push-off you're getting, like Roger Clemens had. So it's really beneficial to work your legs.
Absolutely, yeah. He has some big legs, and it's good to have those strong legs. And even 6th, 7th inning of the game, having those strong legs, maybe you won't get as tired as quick. But it's just real important to. And the running and staying in shape, it's, pitching isn't just showing up and just, trying to throw it by guys. There's so much to do, and the better guys work harder.
Craig would also like to know what the benefits are of long tossing in building up arm strength.
Yeah, I've always said that's a great way to do it. And, I believe, I was talking to somebody the other day, even when the baseball season's over, and especially the kids that are playing fall ball, and I think it's important to take some time off and take a couple months off and rest, and it's good when they miss the game. I don't think you want to do it 12 months of the year. If somebody tells you that, I don't agree with it. And but once you have a couple months off, I think you start playing catch, and then that long toss is great, and that's going to help get your arm stronger. And I don't think you can get too much of that. So that's something that I really recommend doing.
From your perspective, because this question was kind of interesting to me, because a lot of big-time pitchers wind up being the quarterback of the team or the point guard in basketball or something. Is there benefit from log tossing footballs and basketballs as well, in your opinion?
I never really threw the footballs, back when I played, but I've seen guys that do it. So, I would definitely. I'm not the one to say that's wrong or right. I know guys do it, and people are believers in it, so if guys enjoy doing it and they're comfortable doing it and it helps them, I would say go ahead and do it.
Jay from Minneapolis would like to know from you, were you surprised that just Griffey and Piazza were selected for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's well, obviously Griffey was a no-brainer, and I guess 3 people left them off, which I don't get that one.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I guess I was a little surprised when they said, I believe they announced Piazza first, and then they said Griffey is the other one, and it was a little surprised that they were the only 2, but 2 excellent guys, and I know some other guys on the list too. It wouldn't have been a surprise if they got in too, but the way they went this year.
Yeah, I really was kind of surprised Trevor Hoffman didn't wind up getting in.
Yeah, he was something else. He was lights out when he came in, and just a dominant guy.
Absolutely. Michael from River Falls asks of you, I hear you talk about how scouts are always looking for guys as pitchers based upon how hard they throw. He thinks of guys like Mike Flanagan and John Tudor who didn't throw heat but were very successful careers because they were really smart. Isn't there room in baseball for guys that just pitch?
Yeah, I think there is. And even when I played, when I came up my career, that's what I was, a guy that didn't really throw very hard. When I got into pro ball, I was, told that I would never get to the big leagues. I didn't throw hard enough, and I heard it all the way up, and a lot of other guys hear it too. But you got to prove people wrong, and your goal is to get to the big leagues. And again, if you're 87, 88, 89, you have to just know what you're doing, be smart. And John Tudor was a perfect example. That guy was something else to watch. And I remember Frank Viola too. And I think the lefties, they may have a better chance than a righty that doesn't throw that hard. But again, you have to be smart. You got to change speeds, use both sides of the plate, and throwing strikes is obviously the most important thing because people want guys to throw strikes. So it's just a little bit tougher, like I said, for Kramer Snead and even Dustin Crenshaw, who's right-handed. It's just the scouts don't see the 92, 93, 94. It kind of, they just look for those guys instead.
Our next question comes from Min from Seoul, South Korea, believe it or not. Saw that the Cardinals signed a guy from South Korea that they refer to as the final boss. He wanted to know if you have a nickname that you had when you were playing.
Yeah, the final boss one, I never heard that one. And when I played, no, I really didn't have one. There's still at times, even today, people call me a geek once in a while. So I've heard I'm a geek and dork and all that stuff. But really no nicknames when I played. Other than those 2.
How did you get those nicknames now?
That's just the way it goes. You know how guys do, and it's the way it works. So it's all good though. It's all in good fun.
That's because they know you're super smart. That's how that worked out that way.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that one.
Bill from Minneapolis asks, George, I know everyone is going to put the blame on Blair Walsh, but don't you think many played a big part in the Vikings' loss?
Yeah, it's obviously there's more than one play. That happened to be the final play and the one that stands out, and it was a chip shot, and he said he should have made it. That's as painful as it can be for anybody to lose like that. And but again, there's more than one play in a game. It's just it was just so close, and it's just tough when they drove down the field there and got into position. And like I said before, I would rather lose 30-0 than lose like that, and it's going to be painful for a long time, and they never get over it. I know the Vikings went through that years ago when Gary Anderson missed that field goal as well too, and it's just a painful way to lose.
Absolutely. Donnie from Mendota Heights would like to ask, who do you support now that the Vikings are out?
Oh, the Patriots for sure. I live an hour and a half from where they play, and again, I enjoy watching them play. I think Tom Brady's an exciting guy to watch, and again, he's not very likable. As the Patriots aren't very likable, but something about them, I enjoy watching them play, and so I'd like to see them. Pull it off.
Do you get out to Foxborough to watch games?
No, I've never been there. Been driven by several times, but it's just I'm the kind of guy that likes to sit at home, watch the games on TV, and not deal with all the other stuff and traffic and weather and all that. But you know what? I guess there'll be a time where I'll make it out there.
Robert Kraft, if you know somebody who's listening, we went tickets for George Tsamis out to a Patriot game out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Barry from Hudson asked of you, what a turnaround by Rodgers. Do you see this as his return to elite status?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I think we all think he is, but just this year all along he hasn't had a great season, and I'd probably be the first to admit it. And he's missed some open guys, and but as I said, all year long, he seems like he's been running for his life all year. They've just been in his face, and but he made some nice plays yesterday, and he's a great player. So, but it's going to be a tough one next week for them. And but again, I think I've said to you for months, any of the teams get to the Super Bowl, we can't be surprised because we just don't know what's going to happen these days. Absolutely.
Wayne from Rosemont asked of you, there are a lot of people who are criticizing Kirk Cousins, but he thought he played really well. What are your thoughts?
He's the second half. He's been real good, and I guess he's a free agent now. And I think the Redskins should sign him back. And again, it just they got off to a good start, and I thought they were going to just walk away with that game. But Aaron Rodgers came back and played well, but Kirk Cousins played well too. And he's surprisingly, had a real good season, and maybe he's a little better than people think.
Andy from Kansas City, and I hope this isn't Andy Reid, but says, Kansas City looks so good. Do you see them going all the way to the Super Bowl?
You know what? 11 in a row, and again, they have a tough road, but if they win it, I wouldn't be surprised. But they're just playing real good. They have that real good defense, and I think they match up good with the Patriots. So that's going to be a tough game right there, and probably whoever turns the ball over less is going to win that game.
That should be a very fun one for sure. Our next question comes from Howard, the angry Bengals fan, who says, I hear a lot of people giving a pass to the Bengals players for getting caught up in the emotion of the playoffs. Come on, shouldn't these players be blasted for how they cost their team a chance to advance?
You know what? After watching that game, if I was a Bengals fan, you try to be as polite as you can saying these. I don't even know how I could ever go to another game and watch that again. It just that couldn't be any more disappointing, and it's just frustrating to watch that. It just seems like somebody getting the last. I don't know. You want to call it a cheap shot? You want a silly penalty? You want to call it whatever you want? It seems like that's more important than costing their team, 15 yards and big penalties. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that where there was 30 yards, on that one little sequence there. And
yep.
It makes it tough to watch. And it's funny, even before that happened, throughout the game, there's some, chippy moments there going back and forth, and it's tough to watch. It's just, how about we just play the game? Just play football, and you just hate to see the actions of some players, and it goes on. And after the game, I heard Bill Cowher say, the coach has got to be responsible to control your players, and I agree to it too. It's like I'd have a tough time having my players act that way, and it's just it's a frustrating thing. And if I was a Bengals fan, I'd be so devastated and they lose I'd rather lose 40-0 than lose like that, where with the silly penalties, and there were some other silly plays during the game too, and that others that weren't called either. It's too bad when guys have talent and decent players and they make those mistakes. It makes it a tough watch, and I don't know. After you watch it like that, it's like I'm less and less interested to watch when stuff like that goes on.
Absolutely, especially when you're just a few seconds away from advancing. Can't you control yourself at 30 seconds?
Yeah, and it's one thing about in a regular season game, it's bad enough. This is a chance you're in the playoffs where you can't make mistakes, and a chance that close to moving on, and to lose like that, I'll tell you what, it makes it really tough to watch when it seems like there's so much of that going on with silly penalties or a guy scoring a touchdown and maybe doing a dance where he gets a penalty, but it seems like it's accepted and it's okay to do that. It's like the dance is more important than getting the penalty and costing your team. It blows my mind when I watch some of these games.
I actually thought that same thing about when the Pittsburgh guy intercepted or picked up the fumble and it wound up being called dead at that point. But eventually he scores and he's doing a dance and earning a penalty. I'm like, guy, you're in the playoffs.
It's amazing, but it's the way it goes, I guess.
Paul asks, don't you find it ridiculous that virtually every time a receiver doesn't catch a pass, he is looking at the official for a flag? Even the defensive backs do it every time the receiver catches a pass. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I just wish we could just play the game, and and obviously some calls are going to be missed, but some they make the right calls, and it's just wish guys can go out there and just play the game the right way, and I even say to our guys too, the complaining just got to stop. Just go out there and play, and you hope you get hope the right calls are made, but it's part of the game, so. Just go out and play the game the right way.
Our last question for you, which everybody's talking about, it seems like, is George. How many how many Powerball tickets did you buy? And if you won, what would you do with $1.3 billion?
Okay, I didn't buy any, and I'm sure whoever wins will find something to do with the money. But I get a kick out of it. I hear this all the time. It's $1.3 billion or $700 million or whatever it is that week. I got to go out and buy my Powerball ticket. It's funny how when it's that high, I got to go out and do this. But if it's $100 million or $200 million, then there's no interest. I don't get it. I think you'll find plenty of ways to spend the money, no matter what it is. So good luck to whoever wins. But I really don't do the Powerball. But somebody's going to be happy, or a few people will be happy.
Yeah, but it always seems those people squander all their money and are broke in 4 or 5 years. So it's crazy.
There's some weird stories on a bit of one, but anyways.
Absolutely.
That's the way it goes.
If I win that though, I would buy an independent league team and put George Tsamis in charge, president of operations, in charge of that team.
That's good. That would be fine. Yeah, that's a good decision. So, everybody, hope they enjoy the playoff games. This weekend coming up here, and sorry, there's not more baseball news. It's just a slow time of the year, but we're hoping it picks up here in the next few weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining us this week, George.
All right, thank you very much.
We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's AskGeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review them before we record the show on Monday. I want to thank you for joining this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next week on Strike Zone.